Hi, hello, how are you? My name is Miles, and like the great Michelle Fitzgerald, I don't need to be carried, bro. And I am here with my lovely co-host Jake and Amber.
You know what? I was absolutely fantastic. Sorry, I butchered that line. I thought about it for like a solid minute before we recorded, and then I fucked it up. And then we're here with Amber as well.
Wait, what was
Hello.
that?
Oh, I'll try the line again. You know what? You were absolutely fantastic. And you know what? So was I.
Wait, what is this from?
We'll get in. I'll explain in
Okay.
a little bit.
Is this a Doctor Who thing?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is Questions and Queer-ies, the podcast where three queer people talk about whatever they want to talk about. And for
Yeah.
once, it has nothing to do
with
with Drag Race.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
we-
great.
We
I-
broke the dawn today, quite honestly.
We
did.
are versatile.
I know. You guys actually get to hear me talk a lot more about things that I know. And I'm very excited
Oh my
about this because
gosh.
I love talking and hearing myself talk. So yay.
I'm excited for you.
All right. So, what we got planned today is we have 5 TV shows that we picked out for ourselves that we find are formative or just really important to us as people. We only started with 5, and so we're just going to go down the line, discuss it. These are not going to be long, thorough analysis. These are just quick,
Right.
like 2 to 3 minute blurbs about why we think this is important.
Yeah, because I don't want
and-
to edit 2 hours of podcast.
No, we don't. Before we get into number 5, do we have any honorable mentions we want to start off with first? Or
Okay, almost made the cut, very nearly. Saturday Night Live.
Oh.
Are you a
Love it.
Pete Davidson fan?
I really don't care about Pete Davidson. I'm not gonna lie. I watch it for update.
Okay.
Yeah.
love
Weekend
updates
update is so great. Yeah.
I
Fair.
want Sarah Sherman, one of the new cast members this year. I want her to host update. I want her to
Okay.
take over when Che or Jost leaves.
All right.
But that's my little honorable mention.
Perfect. Amber, you got any's?
I think Seinfeld almost made it on. But I don't quite love it enough.
Not Jerry Springer. B movie in my good Christian suburbs? I think not. So I have 5. I'm just going to speed through real quickly. Basically, I had a top 10 list, and then I had to narrow it down to the actual 5 that I was going to talk about. So these are the ones who are still on the list. They just didn't make this 5 list. Real quick, Golden Girls is a staple. I go back to it a lot. American Horror Story was good, and then I really hated this last season, so I cut it from the top 5.
Damn.
South Park is up there. I
Yes.
still watch it to this day, and I still think it's
Yep.
important. I just don't find it as formative as some of the other ones on this list, so it would have gotten the number 6 spot if anything. Harley Quinn on HBO is a fantastic animated show. If you haven't had a chance, please check it out. It's awesome. And then last, I cut this only because it is not really a real TV show, but I think it's really important to me as a character, and that is the YouTube series The Most Popular Girls in School. I have watched every
I don't
single
think
episode.
I've seen that.
Every year I go
You were
back
the
and watch the
one-
entire series.
You were the one that introduced me to the Most Popular Girls in School.
I think it's really helped me form my sense of humor, and I really
Yes.
love it a lot. And I was this close to putting it on the list, but because it's not a real TV show, I cut it at the last second.
Well, okay. So I thought of 2 more that very nearly made the list. One being Queer-eye. Queer-eye was a big one for me,
Oh.
especially
the
as I
OG
figured
cast or
myself
the new
out.
one?
The new one. The new one
Okay.
was super formative for me, like figuring out like who I was.
Aw.
But because it's newer, I didn't put it on the list. And then it doesn't really count as a TV show, more as a collection of shows, but all the MCU shows that have been coming out.
Okay,
Good
so
shit.
like
I've been
Loki
consuming
and,
them. Yeah. I
I
consume them
just
like
finished
water.
Loki actually like 2 weeks ago. I know it was real late to the game, but I really enjoyed it.
You know what? That sounds like another series that we could do, just talking about
Right.
Marvel shows as they come out. Anyway.
Anyway.
That's a well that's never gonna dry, and I don't have
Yeah.
time for that.
But now we
Alright.
should probably get into the real list.
Yes. Real list up.
Miles, would you like to go first?
Sure. So on my number 5 slot, we have, oh, of course, that's the one. Okay, cool. So I think the show's problematic, and I think there's a lot of issues with it.
Oh.
However, it was really formative to me figuring out my own sexuality and the fact that like gay people exist and that gay relationships are possible. So
Mhm.
for that reason, in my number 5 slot, now here's what you missed on Glee.
Oh, I
I
forgot about that show. Yes, I used to watch it all the time.
So Glee came out when I was like in
Oh,
middle
yeah.
school.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to finally see Kurt Hummel on my TV as an openly gay person.
Yeah.
That was like big for me, and it really was informative. I
Mhm.
do think the gay relationships on there are pretty toxic. I don't find
Yeah.
Kurt and Blaine to be a good relationship,
Oh, no.
but
One
yeah.
of my best friends will fight you on that. My oldest, my closest, my dearest friend Laura, who I will get to listen to this podcast with this episode now that you've mentioned Glee. She has tried so hard to get me to watch Glee, and I literally just don't have the attention span for it.
I've watched every season as it was coming out, and then during when quarantine started, me and my roommate Kaya, we did an entire rewatch of it.
Nice.
It was the most chaotic experience I've had in a while. And like what I've noticed about it is the longer the seasons go, the more camp and absurd it becomes. And then that's when it really hits its niche point, when it just stops caring. But that doesn't mean like stop caring character development. It just stops caring about being real and grounded. That's
Mhm.
when it's great. When it tries to become too serious, it becomes really bad. There's a lot of issues like the teacher planting pot into a student's locker to get him to join.
Yeah. Super.
Jesus Week was a weird
Some
episode.
stuff
Like
that didn't age well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of things that aren't great. But for me, it was really important as I was a developing young fledgling gay, and so
Mhm.
therefore it's on this list.
That's fair. Amber, would you like to give
Sure.
your
Well,
fifth?
you know, the last few of mine that I put on the list, they're not that formative. They're just shows that like I'm like, I love this show. So you guys are gonna laugh at this. My number 5 show that I love is Rick and Morty.
Great show.
Okay.
It was almost on my list.
Really, yeah. So yeah, I don't know what it is. I just think the show is just so well done. And it's just like so original. Like there's not a lot of shows like it. And I like how it's just so like scientific to an extent. Like he's like trying to like go into these different universes and all these like different things that he's doing. Like I just think it's so cool. I don't know what it is. I just love like sitting down and watching it at the end of the day. And I don't know. I just think it's so funny. It's a little weird. And I know a lot of people don't like it, but I think it's a really well done show and I love watching it.
I feel like everyone feels like they need to put a disclaimer on liking Rick and Morty because of like the generalized view of the fan base.
Yeah,
right.
It's a shame the fan base is like what's at least common about the fan base is that they're just you don't get it 'cause you're not smart enough. And I'm like, there's nothing, this isn't highbrow humor. We have characters like Mr. Poopy Butthole. Like this is not highbrow humor. Like
exactly.
This is turn your brain off TV.
Exactly. Yeah. Like
as
he's
highbrow.
freaking like my favorite thing to do. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, so we can edit out, but like I love just taking a freaking edible, getting some pretzels, getting a glass of water, and just sitting there and watching some Rick and Morty for a couple hours. Like that is
we are literally in Colorado. Like
and
well,
Seattle.
I know,
like,
I don't
Seattle,
know.
like the two places where it's the most okay.
Like you cannot.
I say this
walk
as I'm
2
job
blocks
hunting
without seeing
too.
3
Like
dispensaries where I live. Like
right, exactly. But yeah, that's my favorite thing to do. I'm holding off because I'm job hunting, so that kind of sucks because a lot of jobs I apply for are still drug testing. That doesn't matter. Anyways, yeah.
I suppose I'll go ahead. My number 5 spot is, what keeps the lights on here. RuPaul's Drag Race. It was when I was figuring out a lot of like my sexuality, my
Mhm.
personal identity, in the same vein as Queer Eye, the new Queer Eye, Drag Race was very much that pillar that first like introduced me to a lot of queer concepts.
Mhm.
Being able to just discuss it was
Yeah.
a pretty big pillar in my more recent self-discovery.
Yeah.
Number 5, am I just a trash gay? Like, what the hell?
Oh no, honestly, it's because I've got things that I just quote more often.
Fair enough. Okay, well, I'll jump in on that. Drag Race was my number 1 pick.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Because for me, it was exciting seeing a show that was portraying gay people being successful. But on top of that, it was exciting to see a show that was showing gay Black people being successful. Because the
Yes.
early seasons were pretty like evenly split between like Black and white queens, and then we reached sort of this like dip in the middle where there was just like 2 Black queens and like the rest were white. And so it was cool seeing people on there who I actually could relate to. Like Kurt was cool and all in Glee, but also he was too white and too rich for me to fully actually
Right.
relate to.
Mhm.
And it was like, it's why like queens like Naomi and like the Vixen are so important to me, is because they were just, unafraid to be Black and like opinionated and gay on national television, which doesn't happen a lot without some negative repercussions.
Right.
And so it was just nice having that sort of role model to see and be like, I can do whatever the fuck I want because
Mhm.
that's fine. Like people like that exist.
Definitely.
And so I think for that reason, it's not gonna dip for my number 1, because I don't think there's any other show that has such strong queer POC representation as Drag Race does. There's another one that's on my list, but we'll get there when we reach number
Yeah.
3. But for me, that was really important. And I'm so glad that my friend Abby in high school put me onto Drag Race, and I've just been in this happy stage with it. So I hate that I brought number 1 up so soon, but like,
Oh yeah.
Jake fucking
Well,
ruined
actually,
it. So
it's actually really interesting. When I was living in Germany, it was, Taylor and you that really put me onto Drag Race. So, you had a big
yeah.
part in this.
Aw.
Hey.
Yay.
Well, those are our number
Supporting
5s.
queers.
Yeah. Queer supporting people that don't quite know that they're queers.
I'm not gonna say I know, but I will say I knew.
I
Right.
mean, sure. Okay, so those are our number 5s. Miles, what's your number 4?
Oh boy. Okay, so I swear I'm not just a diehard Ryan Murphy fan, because I think Ryan Murphy has a lot of problematic opinions. But number 4 is the show that didn't have as much of a run as I believe it should have, is Scream Queens. I think Scream Queens is an hysterical dark comedy that really did not get enough credit and love that it deserved. Season 1 is phenomenal. It's like it's a whodunit show with like
Oh, okay.
terrible sorority girls who
Is that the one with like Leah Michelle and Ariana Grande?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and Nick
Okay.
Jonas is in it. There's some really great
Oh.
stunt casting in it.
Huh. Okay.
But it doesn't take itself too seriously, even when like people are being like limbs are being removed with chainsaws and shit. Like it's still like funny. I think it's a really good time. Season 2 is kind of a flop, but it
Oh,
kind of
okay.
grew on me after rewatching it after a couple years.
Mhm.
But it's still not as great. Taylor Lautner comes in on that one too, and
Oh, interesting.
Scream
what's the
Queens. That's the one with the Chanels, right?
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Oh, I think I've seen a couple episodes.
And
Okay.
the ultimate Scream Queen, Jamie Lee Curtis, is in it, and it's
Good.
just so well done. And you
Mhm.
should really check it out if you are into like horror. And it has a great like, it's kind of a secret love letter to the horror genre, because it like will reference and allude to like classic horror movies a lot while
Oh,
it's doing
cool.
its episodes. It's really fun.
Mhm.
And horror is a big thing for me because it's my favorite movie genre. So I really enjoyed this show a lot.
Nice.
Awesome.
Okay, so my number 4, this is another one that may be a little controversial, is The Office. And
No, you don't understand. That's my number 4 too.
Oh, is it? Yes. That makes me so happy because it's just, again, it's one of those shows like I have memories like watching it like with my mom, with my family. Like when it first started, like, oh, that first season was a little rough, but and it's just something like it's a show that I can always go back to. Like when like I don't like it's just a comfort show for me. Like when I like got divorced, I watched it all the time. When like my daughter's dad moves to Florida, I would watch it all the time when I had time to do that. Like when I'm sick or if I'm just having like a really bad like mental health day, like I will just sit there and like watch like especially the which one was it? The stress relief episode in season 5, where like that was just so great. And it's just so like that whole episode is just so well done. And the whole show, like even and people probably won't agree with this, but like even after Steve Carell left, like I still really like the later seasons. I still think they're super funny, super well done, and it's just like such a comfort show for me. I just love it.
This is my Office hot take. Robert California and Nellie are fantastic characters.
Robert California is great. He kills me. Nellie, I'm kind of like about, but Robert California, like he's so funny. So funny.
I quote Nellie all the time. Is like, and I used to talk like this, which is bloody horrendous, isn't it? No, for me, The Office, when I was still living in like dorm settings, there was somebody who lived on the other side of the wall, super thin. Like it was one of those suite styles where you had room, bathroom, room. Okay. So he lived on the other side of this wall, and he would put The Office on, like, and fall asleep to it.
Oh, okay.
And so episode after episode would just play. And so I would be kept awake hearing The Office theme song constantly. And I started to hate The Office so much. And then one day I'm like, I'm going to watch it. And if it's a trash show, I'm going to go kick this guy's ass. And I fell in love with it.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I binged right through it. Again, it's one of those shows where like I know where the plot's gonna go. I can come right back to it, jump literally anywhere in the show.
Yep.
And I mean, not to get all psychoanalytical on myself, but when I feel like I don't have control over things, I can go back to The Office and be like, okay, I know exactly where the plot's going. I have this feeling of even pseudo control.
Right.
That's really helpful.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yep.
Oh, okay.
So we knocked out
I needed to grab an emotional support kitty because this is a very straight opinion that I wasn't expecting to hear today.
Wow.
Whoa. I also had a roommate.
Just be super gays.
I also had a roommate. Hey.
Hey.
Mike Wazowski, you didn't file your paperwork last night. Always watching.
Oh my god.
I hate it.
Thank you.
Wow.
That was my talent section for tonight's pageant.
Look at that variety show.
Thank you. Do you think I'll be safe?
Do you think I'm at the bottom this week?
But no. I also had a freshman roommate who constantly watched The Office. And the thing is, we weren't separated. Like it was bed, like right next to each other, right?
Yeah.
And so I watched a good chunk of Office and I found I hated it. Like it was not funny to me at all.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah, I think not a lot of people like it.
Part of it is the forced exposure I had to it because there was no like separation. And so I want to watch something else. Or
right.
Forced to watch this.
That makes sense.
I don't have many positive feelings towards it, but that's just me.
That's fine.
That's fair, yeah.
Well, and like season 1 is rough.
It is, yeah. It's very rough. I'm surprised it got as far as it did, honestly, after some of the episodes, because there's a lot of problematic stuff in the earlier days too. Like in the first like 2 or 3 seasons, you're like, oh god, this didn't age well.
Yeah, no, I remember a few of those jokes where I was like, really? This is what people are into? Okay.
So those are our number 4 slots.
Yeah.
Miles, let's hear your number 3.
Here we go. Okay. So I was talking about Black queer representation, and this is a newer show that started, I think, 2 years ago. This is an HBO exclusive as well. Please check out Legendary if you haven't yet. I mentioned this in our Drag Race podcast before. It is a ballroom competition show, and it is fantastic. You think some of the like lip syncs you see on Drag Race are impressive? Nothing compared to Legendary. People are doing like splits and cartwheels being birthed out of eggs. Like, it is wild, and it's so interesting. And the show like gives them like a prop and costume department to work with, so all of their like fits always look super clean, and it's well produced, and it's judged as ballroom culture is, where either you get a 10 or you get the chop. There ain't in between, so you can't be half stepping to win these categories and make a part in this competition. I think it's an awesome show. They highlight a lot of awesome trans performers as well. It is really good.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out too.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see, we're on number 3.
Yes.
My number 3 is Bob's Burgers.
Oh, I love Bob's Burgers.
Love it.
Yes, it's so, and I just like it. So I do have good memories, like when it first started. Like me and my mom, my sister would watch it, and I just remember like the first episode, like we were just dying laughing. Like we just thought it was the funniest thing ever. And the episode's just still, I think they're on season like 11 or 12 or something crazy,
And
they're
they're getting
still
a movie.
Yes, and
Are
they're coming
they?
out with a movie. Yeah, in May,
That's
I
amazing.
think. Yeah. And so, and it's just such a good, like, wholesome, like, family show. Like, I like it because I can watch it with my daughter. Like,
Right.
for the
There's no
most part,
cussing.
some episodes I'm kind of like, but like for the most part,
Right.
like I can even watch it with my daughter and she likes it. Um, and I also just like it because I feel like it kind of has more like accurate like representation of like families, like how they're like struggling to like pay their rent and like things
Mhm.
like that. Like it's not just all like everything's fine all the time,
Right.
like even though it is a comedy. I feel, and it's just sweet like how they just like love their kids and they like encourage them to be themselves, and even though it's like, you know, made up show, but it's still nice to like see that and everything. So
I
yeah.
really love the music in Bob's Burgers. I don't think
Yes.
there is a flop in any of their
Yeah.
original songs.
I
Yeah.
love the duet they do when they're catering the wedding.
Uh-huh.
And that's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Bob's Burgers is also a big personal favorite of mine. Actually, didn't notice, but my boyfriend and I last Halloween, we went as Bob and Linda as a couple's
I
costume.
remember that those
Did
pictures.
you? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So it was pretty all right.
All right.
I will say, I think at least once a month I find myself singing Electric Love or the song where Bob's stuck on the toilet.
I love it.
Those are fantastic.
I will
Yeah.
say sometimes I'll just be like in the kitchen being like, wins a man out and send man out. Like just like
Oh, every Thanksgiving I'm singing Linda's Thanksgiving song.
oh my god.
Pass the cranberry
Cranberry
sauce around the
sauce,
mashed potatoes.
Potatoes.
Ooh, the turkey looks great.
Thank you for loving me.
All right. My number 3 spot is something we mentioned a moment ago, or Doctor Who. I am a geek at heart. Like when Doctor Who had its revival in 2005, shortly before that started, my dad sat me down and he was like, okay, we're going to watch the new Doctor Who when it comes out, but I'm getting you started on the classics.
Nice.
So I watched a handful of Tom Baker episodes before Eccleston began
Ooh,
his
that's
run.
that is a weird
It's a weird jump.
transition.
It's a jump. So my entrance line for starting off this episode was Eccleston's final line before he regenerated.
Got it. I do remember that.
He was like,
I really do love Doctor Who. A friend of mine got me into it and I really enjoyed it. I watched all of New Who. I just haven't seen any of
Jodie's.
Jodie's, yeah.
I absolutely love Jodie Whittaker's portrayal of the Doctor. And I
Okay.
think they finally nailed down the characterization, which is a shame because this is her last year in the role. So like
Unfortunate.
the New Year's special, they like the final few episodes of Flux in the New Year's special, I was like, man, they really finally got a grip on the 13th
she is.
Doctor.
Yeah.
And now
That's
she's getting ready to leave, her and Chibnall, which a lot of people are happy that Chibnall is leaving and that Russell T Davies is coming back. I'm really excited about Russell T Davies coming back because back in 2005 it was a lot harder to have, you know, that queer representation in Doctor Who. We had Captain Jack Harkness,
right.
we had allusions to queer characters, but I think we could actually see
But we got
a queer representation in the Doctor with Russell.
And we got Bill before, right?
Yes. Yeah, we've had some great queer representation as the seasons went on.
Yeah.
But in Russell T Davies' original run, I feel like we could have had some fantastic stuff if it wasn't 2005 to 2009.
You mean to tell me you weren't a fan of the Moffat age?
Moffat, I really do it. Like I'm going to cut myself short here because I could go on about Doctor Who, but the Moffat era had some really great stuff. I loved the overarching themes, the character building, the world building, how it all kind of culminated with Day of the Doctor and then all of Capaldi's run.
Right.
Chibnall, I think he strayed too far from what the show normally like tries to give. I can appreciate what he tried to bring to the show. I think the Timeless Child arc has a lot of potential. I mean, not that either of you, because you haven't seen Jodie's run, so the Timeless Child arc is not. Go watch.
Well, so what I'm currently doing is I'm trying to get into Jodie because they got added to HBO recently, but I wanted to re-familiar myself with the storyline, so I'm starting from Smith and heading back into it. So like I'm like halfway through Smith's era. But I will say I tweeted about this like months ago. There are a lot of things that I think Moffat has issues with, but I will say one of his greatest dreams is he writes one of the most memorable characters of the series. Like River Song is one of my favorite things of all time, and it wouldn't have happened without Moffat. So like, you know, there's pros and cons to it.
Oh yeah, there's pros and cons to literally everything Stephen Moffat creates. Like go watch Sherlock and cry. I feel like
real quick before we move on, favorite companion and why?
Ooh, shit. Donna.
Yeah.
Forever and always Donna.
Donna is great.
That's honestly, I think one of the reasons why I love Nellie so much in The Office is that I love Catherine Tate. I love Donna. Catherine Tate can do no wrong.
I will say it's funny watching her like do interviews and her not remembering a single thing about the show she was on. Like it's pretty embarrassing, not gonna lie. Controversial take. I think what is the most engaging companions ever is Clara Oswin Oswald. I know that's super a hot take.
Oh no.
But I think there's something real engaging about a companion that not only can keep up with the Doctor, but sometimes is smarter than the Doctor.
Head of the Doctor. Yeah.
That for me, that was so interesting to watch. And I understand the way her storyline is ended is not great and it doesn't make a lot of sense. Just enjoy while it was there. It was good.
Clara leaving the show gave us one of the greatest episodes of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
In Heaven Sent, Hellbent.
Yeah. Yeah. It was real good. Sorry, Amber. Like
no, it's fine. I've seen like 3 episodes of Doctor Who, maybe. So I don't know.
I don't get a lot of
They were all from the Matt Smith run, weren't they?
Yeah.
Was that the ones that I made you sit down and watch?
Yeah, well, and then I've watched a couple. So one of my brothers really likes that show too.
Okay.
So like a few, like I don't know when, but like a while ago, he would watch it all the time. So I watched a few episodes with him, but that was like probably like 5 or 6 years ago. So yeah.
Okay.
I just
late Smith run.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if they were new, old, whatever. I just know I've seen a few.
Right. I got sorry, I got excited talking about this because like I don't get a chance to talk about it because
Right.
Talon thinks it's really stupid, even though he's never seen a single episode. So like I can't watch it or talk to him about it here. So I'm like, okay.
So you're telling me I need to start taking notes now so we can have more series to talk about on this podcast between Doctor
We
Who.
can let's put a pin in that.
Marvel.
We'll circle back to it.
We'll have like a whole just like 2-hour thing talking about Doctor Who. It'll be great.
Sounds great.
So
Looking
that's
forward
a
to it.
much better line to leave off with than watch Sherlock and cry. But those are our number 3 spots.
Yes. Love it.
Miles, let's hear your number 2.
I mean, we all knew this was coming. It's Survivor. Like
Oh yeah.
literally, number 1 and 2, I was like Drag Race
Survivor.
Survivor, Drag Race Survivor. I don't know which one I'm putting where. I ended up with making sure that career representation was more important to me than an actively engaging television show. So I put Survivor second, but like it really would have been a coin flip either way. Survivor is one of the greatest television shows to ever exist. I cannot stress that enough. It is one of the longest running television shows. We're getting season 42 in spring, y'all. Like I'm not kidding.
Gosh.
This is a juggernaut of a show.
Yeah.
And not to mention international seasons. Australian Survivor slaps hard. And if you haven't had a chance to watch it, it's so good.
Well, you
I
said
love the
season
passion
42,
with
so you're
this.
telling me that the voice is very quickly catching up.
The voice is not going to last as long as Survivor. I will bet money on this.
I'm just saying in raw season counts.
Oh yeah.
'Cause they're pumping that out.
They're like pumping out as fast as Drag Race. They're like, let's go, more. I fully think RuPaul is in a race to try to catch up with Jeff Probst in like amount of seasons. That's kind of what's going on. But I study sociology. That's my thing here in college. And so it is wildly fascinating for me to see a group of people dumped on an island. There can only be one winner. And then how each person develops a different strategy to get to that end is so intriguing to me. And then some people play more socially. Some people treat the game like a game of chess and strategically move pieces around to get themselves ahead. Some people just win out by winning challenges. Like it is a really engaging show because never is a season the same and never is a winner the same. And I love that about Survivor, and it's why it's lasted so long.
Yeah.
It's gotten a little heavy-handed with twists recently, which I understand.
Like something else we know.
Yeah, like I get why. It's because it's a long-running show, and so they're trying to make it more interesting for like people who've been watching for a while. And so sometimes they tend to just throw everything but the kitchen sink into it, and only half of them work out. But that was 41, the most recent season. That was my issue with that, is there were too many twists and half of them didn't really work. But I think there is not a show as interesting and engaging, and it gives me so much content to talk about. There is going to be a episode up soon. I have a recording plan today where I discuss my top 10 favorite seasons as spoiler free as possible, because I'm planning to do in-depth analysis of them later. But look out for that. Please watch. If you really want to know what the greatest order to watch it in is, DM me on Twitter. I have already gotten 5 of my coworkers to do this long journey with them, and I'm guiding them through it season by season. So I have a game plan for you if you need it. But yeah.
Love it. All right, my turn. So my number 2 show is Queer-eye, actually. Hey, Queer-eye. Yeah, it's the one on Netflix. I know there's like an original. I don't think I've watched that one, but the one that's on Netflix right now, those 2 seasons. And that show, it gets me in my freaking feels like crazy. And for me, like I just like it because I like kind of what we were saying earlier, like I had a really hard time accepting my queerness for a while. So I've just recently, like in the last like 2 years, come out, and I've really, and then like in the last year, like really just like embraced who I am, which I'm very proud of. And that show definitely like helped me like just kind of be like just accept who you are. freaking love yourself. And I just love, and it's just so heartwarming. And just seeing like all the people that they help, they're all just like genuinely good people
Mhm.
doing good things. And I feel like especially after the last few years, like there's a lot of really bad shit happening in the world, and it's really sad and really depressing. But then it's like you just watch the show and you're like, wow, like there are these amazing, wonderful people doing all these things for other people. And it's just nice that they're like getting the help, because like I'm kind of the type of person where like I'm a giver, like I will do things for other people all the time, and I definitely put myself on the back burner and have a hard time asking for help. So I relate to so many of those people. Like granted, I'm not doing anything crazy like some of those people are, but it's just like cool to see like how like loved they are and how they're giving back to the communities, and then just like getting that help that like everyone needs help. And and sometimes you just need that kind of like reset to really just like take a step back and like find your true self and live it and embrace it and everything like that. So I love Queer Eye for that reason. It's so good, so heartwarming, and it will never
Yeah.
get old.
I think to kind of speak a little bit on Queer Eye myself, so a lot of the like principles that they really
Mhm.
dig into on the show, just as a young adult, I found myself applying a lot of them. So like,
Yeah,
folks who knew me in like 2016, 2017,
right.
Miles. If you look at like how I, took care of myself, how I presented
Mhm.
myself, how I dressed myself then versus how I, take care of myself now, I think
Yeah.
there is a noticeable change.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with I think a lot of it has to do with, being able to watch the show and say, oh, okay, well, like these
Yeah.
are a lot of things that I never thought to try or never thought
Right.
to like,
Exactly.
even consider.
Yep.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely helped me in a lot of ways just watching
Yeah.
it.
Mm.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Could you imagine? Sorry, I had to put that in just once. I also love how Amber, you're like it helped you like love yourself and respect yourself, which just made me
Yeah.
think of the vine of the guy like on the street with the one side. He's like, love yourself, respect yourself, and I'm like, it's all that collects in my mind. But yes, I'm glad.
Our
Yeah.
next one will be top 5 most influential vines in our life.
I'm down.
Yes.
I'm
Oh, we should.
1000% down.
Listen,
Yes.
I could speak at length about my top 5 vines.
Listen, which one of you does know how to flush a toilet after you take a shit? It wasn't me.
Well, it's fucking one of yous.
Disgusting.
Oh my god.
Amazing.
So my number 2 spot goes to Last Week Tonight with John Oliver,
Oh.
Okay.
which I know is a
Okay.
very strange
Very
Political fish. Look at you.
well, so when I started watching like the YouTube clips that they would put of their main stories,
right.
I started watching those, and that was like my first brush with being politically
Same.
aware and becoming politically, active. And that prompted me to go and start seeking out, other voices and, not just straight white guys with British accents.
What?
I know. And I think a lot of that, helped educate me on causes beyond myself.
Mhm.
And so I credit that show with being what put me in the door
Mm.
of political awareness and, activism of any
Mhm.
of any sort.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
that's really it. Like,
Yeah. No,
and,
like
I'm all about his the gags that he'll do, like our what is it? Our Mother of a Perpetual Exemption,
Oh,
or Our
yes, I
Lady of
do remember
Perpetual
that.
Exemption,
Yeah.
with his Tammy Faye-esque wife, Rachel Dratch.
Oh, I love Rachel Dratch. She's so funny.
Yes,
I don't know
She's
if
the
I know
Debbie
who that
Downer
is.
girl, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Praise be unto you, my John.
Majan. Uh-oh.
So so those are our number 2 spots.
Number 2 spots.
Miles, I would ask you to share your number 1, but
No, but you ruined that. So Come
Whoops.
through.
Whoops. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Well, do you want to speak more about Drag Race?
Yeah, let me tell you about this is a story all about how my life got queered upside down. So
I'll tell you.
I got into Drag Race around when season 8 was airing. And I went back because someone recommended that I start with season 5. So in between catching live episodes of 8, I was watching season 5. Which is why for the longest time, those two are my favorite seasons because I started them kind of at the same time. And then I went back and started from the very beginning and watched all the way through.
I was gonna say I love the subtle read on seasons 1 through 4 from your friend.
Well, they were like, season 1 and 2 just has a weird filter. And I was like, I mean, it does. It really does.
It does.
Like,
I mean, they literally put shit on
Vaseline
the lens.
all over the lens. Like, but it gets better after that. But not that season 1 or 2 are bad either. Like season
It's
2 has
just a different show.
right. And season 2 has one of the best fights ever. Like the whole like Tiana versus Tyra is one of my favorite things that I come back to all the time just to rewatch. Why are you talking? Why are you talking? Like it's amazing. But yeah, I just great show. I really connected with Jinx Monsoon even before I lived in Washington. I thought Bob is hysterical. Dorji's has always been one of my favorites. It's just something about seeing queer people be successful. It's really nice to see on TV because it doesn't happen a lot. I do think we are kind of in a renaissance age in television where queer voices are uplifted and projected a little more on various shows. But Drag Race
in like
was
the caricature way they were in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. But Drag Race was one of the first to do so, and I think for that it gets all this credit and praise and flowers. Yes,
Yeah.
RuPaul has a lot of weird out-of-pocket opinions.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
like, it's one of
the
those
fracking?
things. Um, it's just one of those things where you have to understand that unfortunately Ru is from a different generation where she thinks differently about things, and that's not an excuse, but it's just kind of where she's at.
Right.
And at this point, she's not changing. Like the woman's 61 years old. She's not changing at this point.
Yeah.
Like, and so you kind of just treat Ru as like the drunken grandpa at the reunion who you still love, but you just don't listen to his opinions.
You don't
anymore.
Right.
wade
Like,
into it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think Ru gets a lot of credit for pushing basically unknown queer artists on a national platform because no other show really does that still.
At the rate. Yeah.
At the amount of exposure those artists get. And so for that, it's like, yeah, I don't agree with RuPaul, but I still think what he's doing for artists everywhere is really important. And for that, that it needs all the support. So yeah, great show.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch it sometime.
Yeah, I might have to check it out. We'll
It's a little
see.
unknown, a little like niche, underground.
Do you know any podcasts that'll catch me up?
I believe there is one, but not a lot.
It's called Race Chaser, right?
Oh, I was actually going to call it Drag Her, but yes.
Or sibling rivalry.
There might also be a bootleg opinions out there. I don't know.
The myriad of opinions from queers screaming into the void.
Sounds like my Friday night.
It's literally my Friday night.
Oh man, right?
So Amber, what's your number one?
My number one is Schitt's Creek.
Mm.
So I don't even know where to start with this show. Obviously, David and the whole queer representation in it is fantastic. I really like it too because like how accepting the family is, specifically like David and Alexis, like their relationship. It reminds me of my sister, like to an extent. Like my sister's not ditzy like Alexis at all. She's probably smarter than me and she's great. But it just kind of reminds me like with how close they are. Like me and my sister are like very, very, very close.
Mhm.
Like when I came out, like she's the one person I knew would not disown me for being gay.
Mhm.
And so their relationship just reminds me of that because they just like hang out and talk and like, you know, get into these like hilarious situations that like, and it just always brings up so many memories of like me and my sister and like just random shit we would do growing up, like sneak out to 7-Eleven to get Slurpees at night, like because that's the kind of shenanigans we decided to get into. And so, and just like the whole family too, like how they just like love each other. I think it's like good representation because I do know like there are a lot of families that like won't accept queer people. And so it kind of like reminds me of my family a little bit too, because like my mom and stepdad were like very, very accepting and like still love me no matter what. And I always feel bad saying that because I know like a lot of people don't have that, but that show just like reminds me a lot of them. And it's like sad how they like lost everything, but it's neat how it kind of humbled them as well. And I feel like just in that show they just learned to like kind of accept and love everyone like no matter what their status was. Specifically like there's an episode where they were at some dinner, some fancy dinner with some rich people, and then like Roland and his wife were there, and whatever rich rich people were like being mean to them, and the dad's just like, no, like these are good people, like stop being assholes to them, or I don't remember word for what he said, but it's just like one of those shows that it's just really cool to see, you know, just like the representation and like how like loving the family is and everything. And then specifically the special that Netflix did after the show aired, where they were like reading the letter from the mom group that was saying like how much that show helped them. I was in tears because I was just like, oh my gosh, like this show is helping so many people. And yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those feel good shows
Mm.
and it just makes me happy. And I just feel like it reminds me a lot about like my family, like with the relationships and
Wait, you
everything
were
like that.
rich?
No, 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 no. No. My parents do own a business, but
Is it a
I
wine business?
no, it's not. They own a gym.
Lame.
Yeah,
will always. I've not seen an episode of Schitt's Creek in my life.
really.
However, I keep hearing you just fold it in
Yeah, you just
constantly.
yeah.
How it's your recipe. I cannot explain everything for you, David.
Yeah.
Ew, David.
Ew, David.
Yeah, David.
David. It's a good show. You should watch it for
I
sure.
love the
Oh, yeah, I'll
segment
get there.
where Moira's fake laugh. In one of the episodes, she's like, no, like it makes me laugh every time.
Moira is so out there, like all her wigs and
Catherine O'Hara.
everything. Oh my,
Catherine
I
O'Hara.
love Catherine O'Hara.
Kevin!
She's just great. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right, Jake, what's your number one?
My number one show. I'm just gonna go ahead and preface by saying I think I just had just the straightest top 5. Like looking back, but my number one is The Good Place.
Oh,
Okay, that's
From
not.
also from the mind of Mike Schur.
I've seen the first season of that.
I absolutely love The Good Place. I've always been super interested in like philosophy and the types of ethical codes that people follow.
Mhm.
And what I really, really love about The Good Place is that it presents so many different ideas of how people conduct their lives. And even though it ultimately picks a utilitarian kind of code, it ultimately falls really in line with how I try to live my life. I've got this sticker on the back of my phone. It says hashtag BADFP, which literally just stands for be a decent fucking person. The one of my favorite plays ever, Harvey, something I got to do in high school. There's a quote from it that I carried around a lot for a long time, which was, "In this world, Elwood, you must be oh so smart, or what is it? You must be oh so clever, or oh so pleasant, or oh so clever. For years I was smart. I recommend pleasant." And I like that hit me like a brick when I was, 17 and thought I knew everything.
Mhm.
And so I
Can't we
carried
be
that
17?
around. Huh?
Can't we be 17?
Right.
If we still got the right. No, so then I had a friend who literally just makes all these stickers that are some variety of on the design of be a decent fucking person. And I was like, man, that's a much shorter way to say that quote.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so having a show like The Good Place, where like literally the whole moral of the story is be a decent person and the universe
Yeah.
will be decent to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or, you know, sometimes it won't, but that doesn't mean that you stop.
Right.
Yeah, you know, always keep trying to be better the next day.
Yeah.
Um,
I like that.
yeah, I even bought that ridiculously long and difficult to read book, What We Owe to Each Other, which is literally the book that the entire show is based their moral code around.
Oh, okay.
It is a heavy read. Oh
Yeah.
boy, if you're ever looking for something to just really think on, damn.
You can just pick it up for some light reading.
Yeah, you know,
This is light.
the book isn't even light. Like, it's a tome.
A tomb. And they call it a mine.
It's like it's like Les Mis is a brick. What We Owe to Each Other is a tome. Like, beat somebody over the head with it. Blunt force weapon.
I mean,
Oh my gosh.
over 1,000 pages just to say stealing for your starving loved one isn't a bad thing. Like,
Listen, I could go on about Victor Hugo, but yeah,
yeah.
those
Hopefully
are
that-
our
Yeah.
top 5
Yeah.
shows.
Hopefully
Yeah.
that helped you get to know us a little bit more.
Little
Yeah.
I don't know
tiny
why I
bit.
chose that voice. Anyway,
I don't know. Choices.
Thank you. Thank you. It was so nice talking to you. So nice.
So this was really fun, actually. Like,
This was good.
I would
I
love
liked
to
it.
do more of these kinds of episodes
Yes.
that aren't just recapping Drag Race, although
Yes.
I'm loving doing this
We're
recap.
gonna have a
Right.
lot of fun with this next episode.
Oh
I
my
did.
Yeah.
gosh.
Oof, man.
There's
I have
drama in the
thoughts.
show. There's drama out of the show.
Outside the show.
Oh, what a teaser. She's a super tease.
Wow. Spoilers.
She's
But all right. Yeah, you know, we'll do our quick little outro.
Yeah,
Follow
yeah,
all of
I'll
our
leave us with,
socials.
follow the
Oh yeah, our socials real quick. Follow me on Twitter at musical_miles. That is MUSICAO_MY Elias.
I feel like the way you say that, there's someone out there, musical_miles with an I, that's just DMing you constantly. Like, why are all these fucking gays following me?
No. I don't know if there is, but like I just know everybody's like, oh, Miles when I'm like, no.
No.
I'm gonna go
No.
find
So
this
why?
I'm gonna go find this other musical Miles.
My doppelganger Miles.
Yeah,
Yes.
your internet doppelganger, and I will
Oh my
follow that.
god. Yes.
My God, broken.
Oh yes.
And I'll just straight up block you. I will Tamisha on your ass.
Not, I'm bent, not broken. Let me just tell you.
Coming for you to show the girls what
Girls, what I can do.
Block.
Cat, that a cat, that a cat, that a cat.
She'll show the girls what she can do, but it'll either take a year in shipping and handling,
Stop.
or just it straight up won't arrive because she blocked you.
Oh.
Oh, the fracking.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Oh
Other
man.
socials? Any
Oh
plugs?
yeah.
at
You can
Jake Jansen
follow-
Music everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My Instagram's Amber Nicole Burke. Go ahead and follow me there. It's where I do
Woo!
most of my social media stuff.
I made a new TikTok yesterday.
Ooh,
Ooh.
I'm too old for TikTok.
What?
I'm older than you.
I know,
Wait,
but I don't
how-
understand
Okay,
it.
so if you're older, okay, I'm older than both of you, which I figured, but I'm gonna be 30 in like a month, you guys. It's insane.
What
I'm
I love
almost
is that
30.
Miles is the youngest, but he's been out the longest. So
Ding.
he's the baby of the group, but he's the elder gay.
He's the elder gay.
The grand gay standing.
The grand gay standing.
It's a lovely dichotomy.
And on that note, I'll leave you with one final phrase of wisdom. Wisdom. We like to welcome you. My ankle. My ankle.
Ankle.
My ankle. Thanks so much for tuning in, y'all.
Allons-y.